Good evening, everyone. We're going to call the meeting to order, July 21st, 7 o'clock, 2022. Thank you, Madam Clerk.
Please stand for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Roll call. Councilman Asbill.
Present.
Councilman Buddy.
Present.
Councilman Chatelain.
Present.
Councilman Johnston.
Present.
Councilman Wheeler. Mayor Bodier.
Present.
Police Chief Walker is absent. Fire Chief St. Cyr is absent. Finance Director Todd Turnion is absent. City Attorney Scott Stansberry. Myself, Carrie Hustis, Clerk, is present. Mayor's announcements.
Thank you very much. We want to bring up Perry. Come on up, Perry, and let's talk a little bit. We got a new program that Perry's been working on. State your name and your address first and last, please, so people know who you are. And let's talk a little bit about what you're working on. He's working on Restaurant Week, but I'd rather him elaborate on his project because his article did get published in NOLA.com.
My name is Perry Maines. You want my address?
You got to give your address.
Okay. 1803 Broadway Street, New Orleans, Louisiana.
Perfect.
Good evening, Council. Mr. Mayor, thanks for having me up to speak again. I appreciate it. I'm here to provide you all with updates on Harahan's first ever Restaurant Week. So Harahan Restaurant Week starts this Saturday, July 23rd, and will run through the following Sunday, July 31st. We now have 16 confirmed restaurants for the event. We've even had to turn down a restaurant in Elmwood in an effort to just promote our own businesses. At the last check, we have a Facebook page and a website for our event. And at the last check of our main Facebook post, we've reached over 12,500 people. And last week, I spoke to Ian McNulty, the food writer at the Times-Picayune. He wrote a fantastic piece about Harahan and our first ever restaurant week. This, without a doubt, reaches thousands, if not hundreds of thousands more people, which is awesome. I think it's great recognition for our community. I encourage everybody to check that out, as well as follow our Facebook page and share it to their friends and family. And I would also like to shout out all the restaurant owners, just in general. They've been awesome, they've been very helpful.
Absolutely.
And I definitely want to shout out Jason Seither of Seither Seafood. He's been pumped about this event since the start. And he has already started his special early because he's gotten calls because people want to come eat it early. It's 5 pounds of boiled shrimp, a dozen Lake Pontchartrain blue crabs, and all the fixins sauce for $50, which is pretty good. He's planning to run his special through next week, but also like for another couple months as well. Y'all have probably already seen our awesome banners out in the community, in the neutral ground and other spots. These banners were made and delivered by our in-kind donation sponsor, Coca-Cola United, Harahan. I'd also like to shout out Gary from maintenance who helped me put them up today. It was really hot, but we put up like 10 or so banners, and we drilled like 20-something stakes into the ground. So big thanks to Gary. But that's basically it. Those are all the updates I have for Restaurant Week.
Do you have a list of the restaurants that are participating?
Not in front of me right now.
It's on the website.
Basically,
Oh, it's on the website. All right, perfect.
yes,
Yeah.
sir.
You shout the website before you leave.
Yes.
Yeah, it's harahaneats.com. That's the website. And before I yield the rest of my time back, I'd like to let you all know this next week's my last week here in Harahan. And I'll be heading back home to Kentucky to prep for my fall semester in Copenhagen, Denmark, studying abroad. I'd just like to thank you all very much for your encouragement throughout my time here and on this project. Thanks, Mr. Mayor, for your unconditional support, your invaluable advice, and your unrelenting energy. But last, definitely not least, I want to thank Brian for picking up the phone when I called in January about a job. I've learned a lot working for Brian, and I'm really glad he decided to hire me. So it's been an honor and a privilege to serve Harahan. Thank you all.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. It was an honor to have you.
All right, we're going to get a quick update on the playground from Councilman Chatelain.
So the playground, FEMA gave us an okay to start moving, to get the project moving forward. The fields are gonna start in the next 2 weeks. We put it out for bid, working with Myers Engineering. We put it out for bid. We had 2 bids. He reached out to six different companies. We had 2 bids came back, all right over $300,000. That's to prepare the outfield, which would be basically football, soccer, rugby, the outer area. It's not gonna be the infield, because basically we put an ordinance through to use city money to pay for this, and then we're gonna get reimbursed. And that's one of the reasons the field hasn't been worked on yet. We've been waiting on an approval from FEMA to start the project. So FEMA gave us the okay to move forward, and like I said, we're gonna use city money to pay for this now, and they're gonna come back and reimburse us. We're not doing the infields yet. We're waiting till we get funds from FEMA, and we're still gonna work on a couple more bids and stuff, because we're gonna try to get that turf similar to LaSalle's field. I got to go watch the girls, I think 9, 10 girls play at LaSalle's field last week because they were playing at Delta and we had a rainstorm, so it kind of got pushed off, and actually were able to go play at LaSalle because it had the turf fields and it was able to handle it right after the rain finished. So this project we're looking at the playground, it's a $2 to $4 million project by the time you finish the fields, work on the gym, new lights. So we all need to be real excited about what's going on over there. And it's taken time, but I think we're gonna do it right. The field was not in the best of shape when we started. It was nice, it was playable, but I mean, I'm not an outdoors field guy, but people would say, oh, it's got holes and dips and ruts, and I don't know. I mean, I'm not running on it. It's more the kids are running on it, but we brought the professional rugby team there, and they were talking about practicing, and they basically said, we're not practicing on this field. So we want to make sure the field's done properly to where we can have a professional rugby team come there and practice with our kids and teach our kids different things. We can have high school baseball teams come there and practice with our kids and not worry about twisting the ankle, stuff like that. So it's in the works, and we're hoping to recover all of this money back from FEMA, between FEMA and the insurance companies. And they should be starting on that field in the next 2 weeks.
Thank you, Councilman Chatterton. I'd like to give everybody a little bit of a FEMA update and where we at. So far, we've submitted $11,899,292.08. And that doesn't include repairing or replacing the fire station, gym, or the sewer plant. FEMA has up to date now approved $2,758,261.25 for Category A and Category B. We're just waiting right now for it to hit the bank accounts, and we're going to start. We have some vendors that we still have to continue to pay up because we want to make sure our vendors are paid, just in case, we get this again. I always tell everyone I had a business for a long time, and I knew what it felt like to not get paid, and I never want to be that entity that doesn't pay their vendors. We have a total.
Can I interrupt you?
Yes, sir. Go ahead.
Most of our vendors are paid. Most of them.
Most are paid. We still got a few hanging out, but
They were paid some.
Yep. So the money that we
They're
had.
working with us, we're in communications with them, they understand we're waiting for other money to come in.
The money that we had, I've actually been working week to week with each vendor and their outstanding list of what they have. And so we work with them each week, trying to, balance through and getting each one of them paid a little bit at a time, trying to clear invoices as we possibly can. Our vendors through the storm have been absolutely amazing to work with. We are so lucky to have the vendors that we have, and a lot of them are locals. And that makes it so incredible. And that was one of the reasons why we were first up with power, first up with sewer, first up with cable, pretty much first up with everything in the whole metro area after Ida hit. So we want to make sure we take care of them. But we're working on it. City only has a $6 million budget, but we're trying to pay through them as best as we possibly can. FEMA comes through with this next tranche of money. It'll be a great opportunity to settle all of them up and then maybe start to work on getting furthering along some other projects. But from what I understand, Category A and Category B is only going out to vendors that did the cleanup. So right now we have 26 total projects. And projects processed by FEMA have been 18 of those. We have 50 sets of individual damage projects, and those projects has processed about 48 other claims. So we're really working with FEMA. It's been a lot of work, a lot of paperwork. We're getting there. It feels like we're starting to turn the corner with them. And as soon as we do, I think we'll see bigger and better and brighter days, and we will be build back way stronger and better than we've ever been. And that's it from my FEMA update, Madam Clerk. Okay. So you're going to bring them up for special presentation?
Special presentation, Assistant Chief Brian St. Cyr, current state of the Harahan Police Department.
Brian St. Cyr, Assistant Chief of Police for the Harahan Police Department. The current state of affairs for the Harahan Police Department are, the police department is in decent shape. We've made some capital requests for police vehicles. I believe that's being taken up tonight.
Yes, sir.
I don't know if anybody has any questions about that. I can answer that now, answer it when the issue comes up. Three of the things that Chief Walker was concerned about when he first brought me in were turnover, personnel turnover, lawsuits, budget issues. And if you look at the state of the Harahan Police Department now, the budget has, for the last 2 years, has really come in shape. We've come in under budget. We're on pace to come in under budget this year, or right on budget, because I work it right up to the end and try to squeeze every penny out of it. What's that?
We know.
So, yeah, you know, there's a flurry of purchasing towards the end of the year, but we try to be conservative to make sure that if we do come across an emergency, we do come across a problem, we have the resources to address it. And then we do have a list of needs, particularly small equipment type needs that we can purchase quickly. So at the end, we do go out and make those purchases. The lawsuits issues, we haven't had a lawsuit filed in the 2 years that I've been here, 2.5 years that I've come in to address some of those issues. Turnover issues have been pretty much eliminated. We have 2 people that left that went to private industry. They did stay on the reserves. We've got one that's coming back now, and the other one is interested in coming back to the department. I think we've really addressed some of the turnover issues. I'm a little concerned, and the chief is a little concerned with the amount of money that Jefferson Parish is about to start paying their guys. It's, do we go back to the situation where we were losing guys to the parish before because of money? But if we're losing them now, it's not necessarily because of any other issue than money right now. I think their equipment is in good shape. They have decent vehicles, although we're getting fewer and fewer. Right now, our warranty is running out on a lot of the new vehicles we bought. So as it's going to become expensive to repair some of the issues I addressed at the budget for last year, that we had about half of our fleet that was going out of warranty for this year. We have seen some increased expenses for repairs. And of course, everyone knows where gasoline is. It's going through the roof. Gasoline is one of our biggest day-to-day expenses for patrolling. So we're seeing an increase. Part of that budget was increased for last year for the council, thank you, but we may see a shortfall in that line item and have to address that. Everybody knows, $4 something a gallon. We're paying a little less than that because we're paying bulk prices, but even our costs have gone up. As far as the crime rate, of course, once again, we're named the #1 safest city in Louisiana. Although I will tell you, recently, the entire parish, West Bank, East Bank, New Orleans, has seen a rash of car door opening types of thefts. They have these people riding around pulling on car doors. They're not breaking in the windows. They're not forcing their way in. They're not jimmying locks. They just pull on doors. So we're asking people to please lock your car doors. And the #1 response we get when we go out to someone's house where someone opened their car door is, well, this is Harahan. And I get that. I grew up here, been here my entire life. It's Harahan. You don't expect these type of things. But we're in a very mobile society now. And it takes people driving through the city 30 seconds to stop and pull on the door handle. We've stopped some people, and we're creating files on people that are out there acting suspicious and doing things. But we're asking the public for help. So far, it's just some change. We haven't had any guns stolen, some change left in cup holders and that type of thing, a baseball hat. We haven't had any major issues, but you don't want people rifling through your stuff. So lock your doors, lock your gates, lock your yard gates, lock your front door, your back door, your windows. It's the safest thing. We don't want them graduating from pulling on car doors to pulling on your front door. But we have begun some overtime, put extra people on the street during the prime times that this is happening. And so you're going to see even more presence out there. So as far as that goes, the budget looking good. looking decent. I don't know if any of you have been looking and keeping on top of it. We're trying to keep it where we need it. We can always use more. If you give me $1, we'll spend $1. If you give me 10, we'll spend 10. And we'll do the best we can to turn that into positive things for the city of Harahan.
Are you short offices now?
We
Send me something that y'all hire.
We are hiring, we have one position that's open. And we have someone who we're about to hire. We also have a school resource officer position open. So, and that, we're trying to find someone who's more of a retired, older person that can be a mentor. It takes a special type of person to be school resource officer. You're a mentor to the guys. You also have to be tactical in case, you're there for active shooter situations. You're there also to prevent crimes from happening. Mentoring these young people and knowing what's going on in their lives is one of the most important things you can do to prevent them from getting into trouble. When you get them at a young age, and we get them in the middle school over there with a school resource officer, there's a lot of things that we can head off at the pass early on, which is why we've been asking for a school resource officer for a couple of years. It got passed this year. I want to thank Billy North, who got that done for us, and the entire school board. We saw what was happening around the country with these active shooter situations. It's scary, but in addition to those types of situations, preventing crime from happening in the future, there's the things that you don't know that you're even stopped because you're there to mentor a young person before they go out and do it. It's been seen as one of the most effective prevention techniques that we can use with young people today. So we do have that position open, and we do have one law enforcement position open. We have an experienced guy who's got about 8 years on the job, post-certified police officer, who would like to come on with us. But we're going to open it up and see who we can get for that position. So we are advertising for that right now.
Ryan, the school resource officer, is that funded by the school board?
It is.
And it'll be an employee of the Harahan Police Department?
Correct. It'll be a post-certified law enforcement officer.
So we'll have to do a resolution accepting the money, then a budget amendment to put it in your budget?
You would.
Thank you.
Before we would bring anybody on, if we get some applicants that can do that. We have a cooperative endeavor, intergovernmental agreement ready to go with the school board that we can present to the council and go from there. But technically, I don't know that we would, because the position would be entirely funded by the school board. I don't know that we would have to do the IGA, because we're hiring them as a police officer within our budget, and it's completely being paid for, but it's almost like working a detail, except it's a full-time officer, and they reimburse their entire cost. No, the school board would be paying the city.
And how's the normal detail work right now? I'll call for a detail, who do I pay?
They pay you can pay the officer, or you can pay the city, and the city has paid police officers before. It's worked both ways, but for this, they would reimburse for the cost. And for the cost, you're talking about the insurance, retirement, everything. The entire amount of the cost to the police department is incorporated within the agreement.
We may need a cooperative endeavor agreement, and if you you'd get it to the city attorney sooner rather than later, so we can all have a chance to look at it and it doesn't become an issue at the last minute.
Okay?
Thank you.
Any other questions?
All right, you sticking around for the, you gonna be sticking around for a minute for the capital ordinance?
Sure.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, really?
All right, Madam Clerk.
Approval of minutes. Reading of the minutes of the council meeting on June 23rd, 2022.
Okay, public hearing is now open if anyone wants to discuss the approval of the minutes from the council meeting on June 23rd, 2022. No one coming forth. We'll now close public hearing. Can I have a motion to approve the minutes from? We have a motion by Councilman Wheeler, second by Councilman Johnson. All in favor?
Yay.
5 yeas, 0 nays. They are approved.
Approval of the minutes of the council meeting on June 23rd, 2022.
Okay, we'll now open for public hearing. Anyone want to come speak forth about the minutes? Nobody coming forth. We'll now close public hearing. And can I have a motion to approve the minutes from the council meeting on June 23rd,
Motion.
2022? Motion by Councilman Buddy, second by Councilman Chatelain. All in favor?
Yay.
5 yeas, 0 nays.
Reading of the minutes of the special meeting on July 5th, 2022.
All right. Can I have a motion to dispense with the reading of the minutes from the special meeting on July 5th, 2022? Motion by Councilman Wheeler. Will now open for public hearing. No one want to come speak forth. We'll now close public hearing. Can I have a second?
Second.
Second by Councilman Buddy. All in favor?
Yay.
Yay.
5 yeas, 0 nays. Madam Clerk?
Approval of the minutes of the special meeting on July 5th, 2022.
Okay, we'll now open for public hearing. Anyone who wants to come speak forth about the minutes on the special meeting of July 5th, 2022? No one coming forth. We'll now close public hearing. Can I have a motion to approve those minutes?
Motion.
Motion by Councilman Buddy, second by Councilman Wheeler. All in favor?
Yay.
5 yeas, 0 nays. It's approved. Madam Clerk?
Communications, reading of the minutes of the planning and zoning meeting on July 6th, 2022.
Okay. Do I have a motion to dispense with the reading of the minutes of the planning and zoning meeting on July 26th, 2022? Motion by Councilman Chatelain. We'll now open public hearing. No one coming to speak forth. We'll now close public hearing. Can I have a second?
Second.
Second by Councilman Buddy. All in favor?
Yay.
5 yeas, 0 nays.
Approval of the minutes of the planning and zoning meeting on July 6th, 2022.
I'd like to have a brief discussion.
Copy. Let's open for public hearing. Anyone want to come speak about approving the minutes of the July 6, 2022 council meeting? No one coming forth. I'm sorry, planning and zoning meeting, 2022. No one coming forth. We'll now close public hearing. Councilman Buddy?
I just want to point out that there was a conditional approval by the planning and zoning meeting, and we'll discuss it in a little more detail when ordinance comes up for approval.
I included it in your ordinance.
Okay, so I have a motion
Right,
by
but
Councilman.
They're in as a whereas, so that's what we're going to discuss.
So I need a motion to approve the minutes.
Motion.
Motion by Councilman Wheeler, second by Councilman Johnson. All in favor?
Yay.
5 yeas, 0 nays. Those minutes are approved. Madam Clerk?
Ordinances for approval. Proposed ordinance number 2022-12. The following ordinance was proposed by Councilman Asbill and is seconded by Councilman Chatelain. An ordinance approving the final re-subdivision plat of Lot A-2C, Soniat or Tchoupitoulas Plantation Subdivision, City of Harahan, Parish of Jefferson, State of Louisiana into Lot A-2C-1, Soniat or Tchoupitoulas Plantation Subdivision, and lots 14 through 23 Colonial Place, Phase 1, all pursuant to a plan made by Ronald Clement, PLS, dated June 1st, 2022.
Okay, we'll now open for public hearing. Anyone want to come speak forth on proposed ordinance number 2022-12? Yes, sir.
Good evening, Mayor, Council. Danny McCarron, representing JW Colonial, 42 Colonial Club Drive. So I should say the comments, I guess, are really pertaining to both ordinance 12 and 13 because it's a continuous strip there. So one, thanks for allowing me to be here. You know, it's an exciting moment, I think, finally getting this stuff done. It has been a long, it's hard to believe, but it was actually, ironically, I was just reflecting on this. I'd just gotten back in town yesterday, and I think it was just after getting back in town from last summer that we sort of was the first step towards these. So anyway, we're here. Happy to report we've completed the infrastructure work out there that we can control at a cost of right at $1 million. I'm sure by the time I get my change orders in, we'll be over $1 million. That's always the magic number. Also happy to say we have 12 of these lots reserved, which I think is it's a testament to really probably not as much about the development. It is about y'all. It's about the chief, about the safety, you know, all the good things here. So it's nice. It's refreshing to see people want to be out here. It's certainly gratifying to me. And not only the sales of those, but quite a few, I think, chomping at the bit to get started on their lots, to actually, there's no shortage of, I can think of at least 4 in my head right now with plans in their hands, kind of asking me when they can get a shovel in the ground. So again, same thing, happy to happy to have that for us, also happy to have it for the city. You know, with regards to the details of it, we're here to ask for final approval to the degree that there's any, anything related to the engineering side of this. I had, Scott Taberry's not able to be here. We do have another representative from Duplantis. But in preparation for that, I asked them to prepare a little summary of where we're at, why this should be approved. I think we were able to get that to each of y'all yesterday or today. It's a one-pager. It's simple. I have some copies if not. And other than that, I'm happy to answer any questions either from y'all or from the public regarding it. So appreciate y'all.
Thank you.
Thank you, Danny.
Thank y'all.
Maurizio Francescon, Harahan Planning and Zoning Chairman. Just a comment with what Buddy was, Councilman Buddy was talking about. The conditional is we didn't have the Myers engineering report, the final report. That was what was conditional about it. And some other concerns about the drainage, which we understand the overall drainage study has been conducted, but then just so happened that very day of the Planning and Zoning Board, it deluged, and the drains didn't seem to be draining, so either it could have been maybe clogged, I don't know. We were looking at maybe having them, I guess you put a camera underneath it to see if they're blocked, and maybe put some type of a concrete curbing to keep the sand from washing into the drain. So basically, that was kind of some concerns of residents, particularly that day because it did rain. But that was basically the gist of the conditional.
Could you elaborate on the clog where the water was trying to drain from the ditch into the pond?
No.
Where
This
was
is
it?
on the street itself, the drains, has nothing to do with the
Okay.
pond. It was the drains on the street themselves. Some residents had brought some pictures just showing it wasn't going into homes, but you know, we understand the street is a part of the drainage of everything, and I know Myers has conducted not just the drainage of Colonial, but obviously surrounding neighborhoods, that it can handle the capacity there. But one of the concerns was the drains on Colonial Club themselves on both sides of the street, not just the one side where they're building the home.
Maurizio, about the conditional approval of the Planning and Zoning Board. I think they were in reference to the last three lots. Is that 25, 26, 27, or?
It was the whole from 14 to 23, and then.
But you were talking in particular about the street cuts, some vegetation. You were recommending, or approval was conditional upon a radius.
Yeah,
to handle
that would be lot 27.
Right, that, and.
That's the next one. Yeah, I mean, I can comment on both because they
Okay.
kind of both intertwine, like kind
I'm
of what
sorry, I
Danny
got
was
ahead of
saying.
myself.
Yeah. So basically, on the very end lot would be more of a radius as opposed to a 90, which we've discussed that with Danny, and he's okay with that. And of course, he'll make it look nice with the landscaping. So both are kind of intertwined with the final approval. But we had a unanimous vote. We had a good turnout. The residents who did come did voice their concerns about that, and appreciate everyone's participation.
So, while we're on this one, we've got the Duplantis Design Group summary of the status of engineering, and this is really more a question, I think, for Mr. McLaren and the engineers. But the last paragraph of the letter, sorry, the second to last paragraph. Construction of the gravity sewer force main, and grading and drainage associated with the plan for lots 14 to 23 and 24 to 27 has been completed. Energy has completed their design and will be installing underground power to the new lots within the utility servitude along the lot's frontage in the coming weeks. As-built plan of the improvements were submitted to the city engineer on July 6th for review and approval. DDG and JW Colonial have not received any comments. I have a question regarding sewerage. I don't see it on the plat approved. I'm not sure where sewerage is going, and I guess it's all installed, if I read this correctly. So if you could please just elaborate.
Yes, sir, Councilman Buddy. So I'll actually take up both of those things and kind of, one is the sewer, or one is the comment there, and then to kind of expound on the cut, the curb cut. So one, regarding the sewer, and just to be sure, we're talking the same thing, you're talking storm or flushing?
Sewerage, flushing.
Yeah, so, and I only say that just people.
Thank you.
Yes, so it is in the, it is in the submittal packet, the conditional, the final, it is. It shows how we installed it, but I'll go through it. It, I don't know if it's what you're seeing now, but it would be on the original application of the conditional. and
All I
it
have
should-
is the
Okay.
plat.
Do you have that larger? It should, can I look at what you have there? Well, let me say it and then I'll look at it. So we installed, starting closest to Jefferson Highway, and just, if I need to repeat any of this, because I'm tend to know these numbers better than, but if I need to repeat anything, no problem. I even confuse myself sometimes when I describe it. So what we have is installed a gravity line from Lot 9, which is towards Jefferson Highway, going downwards, gravity, to approximately Lot 23. At Lot 23, we then have a servitude that goes towards Glenwood, so west, and that's where we have our lift station. And then we have another gravity line that goes from Lot 27 back to there into that same lift station. From that lift station, that lift then is a force main, or force, that then forces back up along that same cut. So what you have there is a gravity line, and then on top of it, which then pumps that waste back eventually to our other lift station.
On the corner of Colonial and Jefferson Highway.
Correct. Yep.
Thank you.
And we had that installed, Cycle Construction, a very qualified firm installed it. We had it tested. We had an on-site inspection. I think you were there, Mayor.
Absolutely.
The mayor was very, very intent on watching it operate. So that's the flushing. And then while I'm here, I'll also say with regards to stormwater, we added, I don't know the exact number, but we essentially tried to add there was already quite a few stormwater drains along Colonial Club. Interestingly, through this project, I think found 3 more that had,
Been covered up.
covered up grass over years. And then in addition to that, we added 7 or 8 more that are either what I call a saddle, so directly over the pipe or slightly away with a catch basin. That then flows back to Jefferson Highway, which would then flow from that ditch. In a high water event, it will then flow back to our pond. That's both types of drainage, or drainage and sewer. With regards to the curb cut, it is also, just full clarification, it is at Lot 27, drawn and conditionally approved. And our intent is to, that is a very large chamfer. Duplantis designed it. Of course, they took in consideration fire trucks, all the stuff you have to take into consideration for that. And we went a little wider, kind of at the request of the conditional, at the planning and zoning. There was a request and said, look, I forget exactly what it was, Maritza, was it 25-foot that y'all desired?
Something like that.
Whatever it was, we agreed to, and we drew it like that and resubmitted it at the request of the planning and zoning board and the neighbors there. And that's it. And then when we go to do that next phase, which would have the exit of the subdivision back there, the idea would be we would install a wall, a vegetation. Don't know what that final design of, whether it has a pond, whether it doesn't. It'll be something classy along that side of 27. What I guess the real intent there, what's worth understanding is the idea is that that last lot will not have a side entrance, right? There is no, even though of course everyone sees that one, and that's the one we get called about all the time because they want a side. That's not an availability here. You're facing the front. So, yeah, that's,
So, and this is probably my lack of technical understanding.
right?
We're approving an ordinance that refers to an attached plat, which doesn't show what you're discussing.
Can I,
You're welcome to look at
Yeah.
mine, sir. I can't find anything, thank you. And it may be there. It's,
I got readers with me?
It's small print.
Good
Very
luck.
small print.
can't read it.
I'm about to borrow your readers. Man. Harahan did this to me. I wasn't, So.
In terms of sewerage,
I can tell.
it,
I see drainage on it, I see the lift stations labeled on there, but I didn't see where it had the sewer label.
It is, and I think what it is, and I'm gonna need a larger one,
Yeah.
but within that servitude, if you see, there is a line, for me to tell you that I can read, but I can see, it is on here.
Yeah, they have a couple lines on there.
And that's what it is, and if you look, it'll have, I just know this because I know what the bigger version looks like, and it has the S, with the dash line S. But that's what it is. And then,
So-
is there another one that y'all have for the next, for the 20?
yes. We've got another one.
And it's,
Yeah, they have an S, it's so small you can't see it.
yeah.
That's the,
So, and it's a technical
And
question.
so this one also indicates, this one is, or I see yeah, same thing, it's small.
yeah, it's so small. You do see how it's a little letter next to it there, so it's probably the second one in.
And so our ordinance says that we're approving according to this document attached.
Okay.
And it's dated. And I think what we're approving is quite potentially a subsequent document that's been submitted to the city that shows all of this.
Yeah, and I would say we're
I don't want to
submitting-
hold anything up, but if there's another document we should be referencing.
Well, we're
to,
submitting
we should
whatever
do it.
was submitted to Myers for approval, because his comments are based on that final document.
But we're not approving that. We're approving your final, well,
I can't speak to that. I don't know.
because this doesn't seem to notate where sewerage is going. There's no footnotes. I suspect you've got drawings that are a little bit more descriptive. I don't know what's been submitted to planning and zoning. I mean, to permit. And we'll see on lot 27, there is no,
Chamfer?
yes, sir. So again, I'm very happy with what you folks have agreed to do. I think it's going to work out very nicely for the subdivision and the city. I just want to make sure that that's what we're approving.
Yeah, I do understand.
We're approving a subsequent drawing. Well, I mean, you've said that
Well, you're approving, I don't know, I mean, I'm not a council person, I'm not a mayor, I don't know how this works. Nor do I desire to at this moment of my life, to be quite frank.
well,
But I do know that we submitted, I don't know what you have, I know that we submitted it with, and I know that because I think at Maurizio's hearing, they had the correct, showing the chamfer, because we had that discussion at that meeting about the
That was,
setbacks and so
yeah,
forth.
that was before the final, but,
I think this attachment here has been, I'm suspecting it's been modified. I think
one-
there may be another drawing.
the one from Myers, which,
No, it would be
The ones
from
attached to the
the
ordinance
plans.
itself.
Essentially a red
Oh,
line
okay.
from the plan, that's which Meyer would have looked at.
Yeah, and I'm not saying they haven't, I'm just saying that what we're approving here in this ordinance is a reference to the drawing attached, the plat attached. And the plat attached doesn't reference what has been agreed to
Yeah,
and
I
what
don't-
we're discussing.
I mean, what I would say is that on I'm just looking at Meyer's letter, and We also received as-built drawings dated July 5th, 2022, prepared by Duplantis Design Group. So they're submitted. I don't know how this works. I don't know if,
Well,
So on this, Mr. Buddy, on this first one, on 14 through, what is it supposed to be? 20, 23? We don't, the chamfer's not on this one because
Correct,
27's not on.
correct.
But if you look at the one on 27, it shows, I know it's difficult to see, and perhaps we should get a bigger copy at some point from now on, but it shows, I think, it shows the
No.
radius there.
I don't believe that's the radius. I think that's got something to do with,
I just see that it's noted 45 feet.
see, that's.
On
that's
that
not
corner.
it. That's not, that radius there is not it. That's this, whatever this is.
45 feet from street side to
See,
corner
here's,
side.
here's the, here's,
25 feet 7 right
See what I'm saying? That's-
right. But there's no radius. Again, I think
here.
what we-
Well, I think this is the curve of the
no,
front.
that's not it. That's,
Well,
that's whatever this line is.
I'll say this,
That's radius right there at my fingertip.
Mhm.
That's not the
Hey.
street cut.
Can you,
That's the street
can you
cut
look at this
now.
one?
I don't know what this line is. You know, it's just,
So if you go there right now, they have a curve that does this all the way around here, and this is a cart path.
okay,
Like, so that's what that is.
that's existing,
Yes,
okay?
that's what's existing.
Yeah.
I mean, I
Well,
just know
no,
that
that's
from
our
cutting
step,
around.
that's
So
the
does-
setback we're requiring. Mr. Buddy's right, you're right, that document that you're showing me, I would agree, it does not have that radius. I know that my red line, what Myers comments is on, I know,
Has the radius.
has a radius, it has everything. I don't know if there's a, nor do I know if we're supposed to resubmit that. I assume not. I assume when we submit it to Myers it is. I don't know what that looks like to
I'm
get
not
to
saying
y'all.
the breakdown is
No,
on your end, so.
No, I
At
know. What I guess where I was going with that is just saying, what I can tell you is we're comfortable with, if there's a, again, I don't know how y'all's world works, but if there's this thing that says, we approve it based on what Myers, y'all's engineer looked at, is commented on, we're okay with that, because I know that's what I don't have it in front of me, but I know we're comfortable with that.
I'm very good with that in concept, Danny, but a final plat approval, I think by the ordinance has to be a drawing.
Uh-huh.
So do we have a copy of that with notations available? Can we shoot a copy tonight, attach it, and change this reference and make it work?
Yeah, give me, how do we do this, move on to the next thing, and let me get back with you in like 10 minutes? Whatever that sounds like is what I want to say.
So we make a motion to amend
Let me call my engineer.
Yeah, and let's do it for both,
Yeah,
both
I agree.
3 lot parcels.
I agree.
Thank you, Danny.
Yes, sir.
Well,
I move to amend the agenda to take up proposed ordinance 2022-14.
Okay, we have a motion on the
Now.
floor by Councilman Asbill to take up proposed ordinance 2022-14, amending the agenda. Will now for public discussion. No one coming forth. Will now close public discussion. All in favor?
yeah.
Yay.
5 yeas, 0 nays. Madam Clerk, we will now move to proposed ordinance 2022-14.
We will revisit.
We will come back to 2022-12 and 2022-13.
Okay, proposed ordinance number 2022-14. The following ordinance was proposed by Councilman Asbill and seconded by Councilman
I'll second.
Johnston. An ordinance confirming the proper form of an ordinance adopted on May 19th, 2022, with respect to the levy of the sales and use tax authorized at a special election held in the city of Harahan on March 26th, 2022.
Okay, well now for public hearing, anyone want to come forward and speak about proposed ordinance 2022-14, please come forward. No one coming forward, we'll now close public hearing. Council discussion?
So this is just another step in the process to start that sales tax collection. It's almost basically the same as what we've passed before, just another version of it. I ask that you vote favorably.
Are there any changes, Councilman?
There are some technical changes that the sheriff required, but that's it. and very specific language changes. But as far as the proposition itself and the collection process, nothing has changed. No further discussion, I move for approval.
Give me one moment, please. Thank you.
We also have the election attorney here, who, if he can answer any questions, if you have specific questions about it, Mr. Akers is present.
So Exhibit A is what we approved previously.
Correct.
And as I read this, and I may have read it incorrectly, this was just simply a ratification of what we did previously, so there would
Correct.
be
It's-
no changes.
Well, it's a ratification of the version of the mayor signed. There was some administrative ministerial changes that were made.
So we don't have a copy of what the mayor signed.
This is what the mayor signed. Exhibit A is what the mayor signed.
I'm sorry, this is Exhibit A. And in the first whereas, it says Exhibit A is the adopted an ordinance attached here too as Exhibit A on May 19, 2022. So Exhibit A, based upon the verbiage of the first whereas, is the ordinance we approved, period. And you're saying this Exhibit A is an amended ordinance.
Yeah, I'll let Mr. Akers answer the
Okay,
question.
thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Jason Akers with Foley and Udell, 365 Canal Street in New Orleans. I will take the blame for this and for the confusion. When the citizens approved the tax by the election, taxes are required by law to be levied by ordinance. So our office prepared the ordinance. We sent it to your clerk. We also sent it at the same time to the sheriff, who is the sales tax collector in Jefferson Parish. The sheriff's sales tax department reviewed, sent comments back. It happened to be on the very same day of the meeting that you were introducing your ordinance. There were two versions that were submitted to the council. And this was the version that was, by all intents and purposes, adopted. There were two versions that were submitted, one with the introduction, the packet for introduction, one on the day of the meeting. We just wanted to be clear that this was the version that was adopted. This was the version that was approved by the mayor. This was the version that will be in your minutes going forward. We just want to resolve any concern. The changes that were made by the sheriff's office were actually incorporated into that version that was to have been distributed. But since there were multiple versions floating around, we just felt it was ultimately in the best interest of the city of Harahan for us to make sure that the minutes reflect this version was the
So
version
Jason,
that's
you're
properly.
saying, at that meeting in May, we saw this version and we voted on it? Because that's what our amendment is saying.
Yes.
I mean, that's what this ordinance is saying.
I
And I'm good with that if that's the case.
I believe by all intents and purposes, you certainly saw this version. Now, whether you saw it at the introduction or you saw it at the adoption, I think that's where the confusion lies and what we want to clarify. I believe this was the version that was presented to the council. And, unfortunately, because there were multiple versions floating around, we're not exactly sure who picked up what version at what time and believes they voted on it. We just want to be clear on this, that this is the version that incorporates the changes.
So it's fair to say then, that we voted on this ordinance, and this is just clarifying. 'Cause that's
Very,
what I think
very
we're saying.
fair. That is what we're trying to
I
accomplish
agree,
here.
yeah.
Yes. And again, we'll take the blame for not receiving those and putting them out to you properly. And so, again, our apologies. Email's great. Sometimes email gets confusing as well. So,
No, then based upon what you're telling me, this makes perfectly good sense, and I appreciate your explanation.
Thank you, Jason.
Sure.
Move to approve.
All right, so we have a motion on the floor by Councilman Asbill, second by Councilman Johnston. All in favor?
Yay.
5 yeas, 0 nays.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jason.
You're approved, Madam Clerk.
Make a motion for a 5-minute recess.
I was just gonna move up the police. We got one more that we can do while we're waiting. Oh, sure. Second.
5-minute recess. Okay, it's 8:05. We're going to call the meeting back to order.
Move to amend the agenda to take up ordinance 2022-15 at this time.
Okay, so we have a motion on the floor by Councilman Asbill to take up proposed ordinance number 2022-15. we'll open for public hearing. Anyone want to oppose? No one coming forth. We have a second by Councilman Johnston. All in favor? 4 yeas, 1 absent.
Proposed ordinance number 2022-15. The following ordinance was proposed by Councilman Asbill and seconded by Councilman Johnston. Oh. An ordinance amending ordinance number 1925, the annual budget of revenues and expenditures for the fiscal year ending December 31st, 2022 for the Capital Project Fund of the City of Harahan, Louisiana, Police Department Vehicle and Booking Canopy.
Okay, so we'll now open for public discussion. Anyone wants to come forth and speak on proposed ordinance number 2022-15, please come forward. All right, no one coming forward. We'll now open council discussion. Council discussion?
My only comment is I'm glad we're doing this. We need to have a regular schedule of additions of vehicles.
Yes, sir.
But what I'd ask you, Brian, is if you could have the police department prepare a schedule of vehicle ages, all of our vehicles, ages, mileage, and estimate when they need to be replaced. You know, let's try to put together something looking forward to say that it's 2 vehicles a year what we need. I don't know, I don't want to put words in your mouth.
Just
2
go ahead and tell
vehicles.
them.
What's that?
Just tell them they all need to be replaced.
No.
Please don't.
No. Yes, they all need to be replaced. If you have the money, they all know. We've done something pretty close to what you're talking about. And we haven't, the ones that we know are in good shape that we're gonna have a few years with, we didn't age those out just yet. We're looking more for the 3 to 5 year plan. The 10-year plan that we've got in place, I can tell you it works out to about 2 vehicles a year
Yeah, if you-
that we need to rotate.
If you could make what you have available to the council.
Sure.
Just for our info, and I applaud you for doing that. I'm not surprised you have it, but I'd like to see it for my own use because we've got to be looking out past this year
Sure.
and
So-
planning for this.
So right now, you got 1 car at Harahan on tire, 2 cars at Harahan body, 1 at Gressy's Automotive, 2 with wheels off over at maintenance, so we really don't have much left.
We're getting pretty thin. We're getting pretty
See,
thin.
I'm not aware of how many vehicles we have. I know we've got some older vehicles that probably aren't in service that you're getting ready to auction.
We have that. And here's where the problem comes in. We had you remember the carjacking in Harahan?
Yes, sir.
Well, our officer, when we pursued them, stopped the guy by running his car into it and jamming it into a telephone pole to get him to stop. That tore up the fender, which we're good with. We'll trade a fender for a carjacking perpetrator any day. But it took us months to find a fender for these vehicles. The Chevy Caprice is no longer manufactured by Chevrolet. The aftermarket parts haven't picked up where the original manufacturer has slowed down or eliminated production of many parts for those vehicles. And the aftermarket has not picked up the pace because of the problem with, supply chain and everything that's going on out there. So it took us a long time, and we finally found a fender, 12 states away that we were able to get. And that's what we're doing right now for all of our vehicles. When we need a part for it, we're calling all over the country to try to find the part. Supply chain is horrible. So when a vehicle goes down, they're down for a while just trying to find parts. We have one of our vehicles that was run into in a parking lot where we had one of our officers leaving the detective bureau on the West Bank, and a car pulled out of a parking spot and just ran into him. We're waiting on a fender. It's been months. We have an engine that's down. It's sitting at Gressy's for months. They still haven't done an estimate on the cost, and it's been sitting there for months. They're busy, and they can't get the part anyway.
The 2 vehicles we're going to consider approving the purchase of this evening. When are they available?
Okay, this is the fun part of trying to get a vehicle for a police package vehicle. Right now, state contract is basically expired. So that's not where the big problem is, it's getting the vehicles. So what we've done is back-channeled through some larger departments throughout the country. One of them is in Illinois. They had a large order of SUVs that they don't want to take delivery of all of them at this time. So we can possibly get them to give 2 of those vehicles back to Chevrolet. Chevrolet will then transfer them to a Louisiana dealer that has a contract with another entity, say the sheriff's office, or Kenner, or some other entity that's going to allow us to piggyback. Several of the ways that we can purchase are, we can procure under state contract, we can procure under bid, we can piggyback on other contracts, or we can go through our cooperative purchasing that we have with Houston, that the city has in place. But getting a vehicle is kind of tough right now. So what we've done is, we've worked out this string of arrangements to transfer vehicles back to Chevrolet, transfer vehicles back to another dealer, that we can find somebody that has a contract with that entity that we can piggyback, that they allow us to piggyback off of. Otherwise, we got to go to public bid, but the problem with that is not a lot of people are bidding on them because the dealers don't have the vehicles available. So you've got to go do these jumping through hoops. And we're contacting dealers in California, we're contacting dealers in Illinois, and we're contacting law enforcement agencies. Hey, do you guys have some vehicles that you had ordered that you can give up? A couple of them seem receptive. That was 2 months ago. We can't do any of these moves until we get the money budgeted. But finding a vehicle, it's not that simple right now. So, but we can't really do anything until we get the money budgeted. What I can guarantee you is, any vehicles we buy under this are road vehicles. They're going to be marked. They're going to be put on the street for patrol. We need some high water vehicles. These Chevy Caprices are great pursuit vehicles, but they're a performance rated vehicle, and it was kind of all that was available at the time. They don't have the Crown Vic anymore. A lot of these police vehicles were coming and going. These were available at the time, but they have, it's a performance intake that draws air in lower than the top of the intake, or where the top of the motor is. So it has a lower intake. So anytime you're getting rain, you're getting water, you have the possibility of sucking water up through that intake. So we want some higher vehicles that we can put a snorkel on, which attaches to the tailpipe, gives us a little bit more room. Eventually, we'd like to have half the fleet be SUV high water vehicles, and half the fleet be pursuit vehicles, type vehicles. That's just a goal down the road, and this is the start with it.
Thank you. And if you could, send me what you have on your future look at when vehicles
Sure.
will be required. Appreciate it.
Okay, so we're going to call for the vote for proposed ordinance number 22.
Thank you.
Anybody else? I thought we opened, all right. You straight? You good? And you guys,
So the only other thing I had on was the booking canopy. We've got a quote from a local dealer for that in the back there for a 25 by 25 for 13,000. So I'm just gonna, council's comfortable with it. I'm just gonna leave that at 20,000 in case there's some overage there, so that we can keep it within budget. And please don't spend it all if you don't have to. Yeah, sure. All right, I move to adopt.
all right. We have a motion by Councilman Asbill, second by Councilman Johnson to adopt. All in favor?
Yeah.
Yay.
5 yeas, 0 nays. Thank you.
Hey. Did you get a copy of this?
Okay. So do we want to go back to these,
2012 and 2013?
2012?
Yep.
You did, okay.
Madam Clerk's gonna come right back. So if you look on your estimate, we have 2 canopies up there.
No.
So it'll be 2 canopies. It'll be your one where you're parking, and it'll be an additional like auxiliary canopy over that second door as you requested.
For the
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Appreciate that.
Thank you.
So, Ryan, I noticed on attachment that we received was an estimate for the canopy. There's no specifications, thickness of the skin or anything, drawing. I assume you'll have all of that before you just, you're not just gonna say canopy X number of dollars. It's
It
not
has to
that.
be hurricane rated, it has to be, yeah,
Okay.
that's all the city rules.
Yeah, 140 mile an hour.
Yeah, what we saw just didn't have all of that, so I'm happy to hear that if your quotation that you accept ultimately will have that on it. Just one document?
Okay, council, we'll now pick back up on proposed ordinance 2020-12.
I'll make a motion to move back to regular schedule.
We have a motion by Councilman
22-12.
Asbill to move back to 2022-12.
I'll second.
We have a second by Councilman, I think we had a second by Councilman Buddy.
That's fine.
All in favor?
Yeah.
5 yeas, 0 nays. We're going back to proposed ordinance 2020-12. We'll go back into, we'll open for public hearing first, to just anyone who wants to come back and speak again on 2022-12.
Did we,
If anybody needs a copy of what we just were handed, I believe there's some extras up here also. Do you have a few extras?
Danny, did we get anything that shows the sewer? Because the drawing we have, the symbol for sewer is not shown.
That's a curb cut. It would have been the other one, the as-built.
Yeah,
So I think on
This
the
is
as-built
2022
you have, I don't know if it's printed, Danny McCarron, 42 Colonial. So I think what he had submitted was the as-built and the, this drawing showing the curb cut, which should be what you have. Well, I just mean he emailed it. I don't know if she printed it. But let me, okay, like you said, it's 26 pages. But let me say this, and you can jump in or not. After talking to both the engineer and the attorney, this is my understanding of it, is that how it's currently submitted is actually correct. Because two things. One is, as we understand what y'all are approving is simply the re-subdivision of the size of these lots. I understand you don't, but I'll just finish out. And so that is that. Now, as part of that process, we submit our as-built and so forth to the city's engineer, which we did, and he comments, and we all can then, y'all can read his comments, and we build them per these lots. Oh, sorry, we make the changes that he proposes and so forth. With regards to the curb cut, the reason it won't be indicated, and Scott's correct, I don't know why this didn't dawn on me initially, is that the curb cut does not actually cut into that lot. So we are giving another, 35, we're giving that, so that's where it is. So we aren't actually asking for a re-subdivision of that. We're stopping it way short of the radius. So that is why it's showing it squared off. So with that said, here's what I'll say is, we're okay with it either way. I think the way it was submitted originally from our team is clean, and that is what we're asking for approval on, and that's what I would ask that y'all consider for approval. However, if as a collective group, y'all want to have that discussion about we want you to consider submitting in another way, I'm open to that tonight.
the drawing, the 26-page drawing that we have received, does it have the sewer line properly shown with the symbol? Because what we have, I think, doesn't. It's blank as to the symbol for a sewer line. So,
Yeah, I'm looking at it here, yes. And I don't know how y'all.
I'm just thinking our clerk's not gonna know that.
well,
I mean,
well,
I'm
but
looking
the
at like-
engineer's here. So what I'm gonna suggest, which would give me some comfort, is that drawing has a date on it.
Print it.
If you would, yeah, please do,
Print it.
because what I'm gonna suggest we do,
At
this
least
drawing is it. That we just amend the ordinance, instead of saying we're approving it according to this plat plan, we approve it according to that one that properly and completely identifies the sewer lines, which are as-built, they're there, but, and then we'll be complete. We don't have to, and if we've got a page of this in there, we can print it and attach it to the ordinance, that'd be fine. But the clerk can do that later. We amend the verbiage to the date of the drawing that
Okay.
we're working from.
Before, okay, let me just step in. You can, I'm gonna leave that amendment to you, Mr. Buddy. But I do have one amendment in section 8. We did this to the ordinances before. Basically, there's a right-of-way, a public right-of-way that fronts Colonial, and we're granting such. We're not sure that we actually have the authority to grant such. So section 8 should read, "Insomuch as the city of Harahan has the authority to grant such, comma, the sidewalk for lots 1 through 23." So you're deleting the word therefore and adding the words, "Insomuch as the city of Harahan has the authority to grant such, comma."
All right, so we're now open to discuss Councilman Asbill's amendment. Anyone not coming forth, we'll now close public hearing. All in favor?
Yay.
Yay. 5 yeas, 0 nays. Ordinance is amended, and we're gonna amend one more time.
Wait, we
We
okay,
just
I'm
amend,
sorry.
we're waiting
Yes.
one more, yeah, we're gonna amend one more.
And that's because that's a Jefferson Parish service.
We don't know for sure. We think it may be Jefferson Parish.
Oh, wow.
I think it is, yeah.
Well, yeah, what we don't know is
Yeah.
the sidewalk requirements, if they follow the parish or ours.
But we're consenting to it as proposed, to the extent we can.
Is it open? There's something I can add to
Go ahead.
that, which I think is good, and I think it's something for the public worth knowing. So after that rain event, and at the last planning and zoning being a watch, I did reach out to Councilman Bonanno, and he offered, and he said it was okay sharing. He was quick to respond, and I was happy about it. He is going to the point of whether or not it's Jefferson Parish or not. He's going to come out, video both lines and clean as well.
And-
So I think that does, I know we've had that discussion a few times, JP, Harahan, he's agreed to do that.
So you all aware that process is, I think it's almost complete. I've been
Yeah,
out there working with them for the past 2 days.
Yeah.
Watching them film and clean, just to make sure everything was clear.
Yep,
So.
thank you.
Definitely thank you, Councilman Bonanno, on that.
So we ready? We're just gonna attach that?
Mr. Buddy, you have an amendment?
We're gonna look at it so we can read it and amend it to the drawing that we're approving. That'll be first.
Right. No, and this should still be, again, same thing, so if y'all, what I'm saying is, if y'all. No, I know, and this is the one, that's what I'm saying, if y'all want to approve it, subject to this code, to this 96. No, that's what I'm saying, we're okay, like, if y'all said so. No, here, this is the reason. Yes, that's very good.
Yeah, what was one of the first videos that came out? Spaceship. Space and they were involved before they were computers. Spaceship and you shoot, that's Astro. That's what you said.
Whichever one it is, y'all have to listen.
I'm sorry, which one? Well, I'm sorry, page, the page is number 8. You count the page.
It was so weird just to see that.
That one, this is a legend. Okay, here's the legend. We got sewer, here we got sewer again. Drain sewer, okay. The dash was in there. And so there should be a line interrupted by, yeah, okay, so that's good. Now where's the curb cut? It's junk. If not, we'll just reference it as per your drawing.
Take 5 minute recess so we can get all these details ironed out, so we can make sure we get this right. We're now at recess. Calling the 8:28, we're calling the meeting back to order.
I've got a letter here from Myers Engineer that's saying that they recommend approval, as submitted with some notes that they've provided. I think those notes are minor. I talked to the engineer earlier. Those notes are pretty minor. We've got a recommendation from Planning and Zoning recommending approval, conditional upon a favorable recommendation from Myers, which you have. I move to approve as amended.
Councilman Asbill, what drawing is Myers recommending? What's the date?
As far as I'm concerned, it's the one that was submitted on July 6th.
I don't know what was submitted. You gotta reference the document.
17 dated June 14.
And I'm looking at a drawing here dated July 5th.
Okay, I move to approve based on the drawings that Myers has reviewed.
So is that the drawings that Myers reviewed?
I don't know. I don't know what.
I don't know, but I
You've
would,
gotta be more specific, sir. We're,
based on the letter from Myers Engineers dated July 13th, that they reviewed the drawings of June 14th from.
June 14, that's the survey. The drawings are July 5th by the plan of design group.
Right.
So that's the right drawings.
These are the right drawings right here. Yeah.
The survey's from the 14th, June 14th, and then July 5th is the design group.
okay, does this incorporate the things that the planning and zoning board recommendations?
Mr. Mayor, I got a motion.
Sir? I'm sorry.
I don't know, I've got a motion to approve. I'd like to move on that motion if we can.
You don't wanna know if you're accepting planning and zoning board's recommendations?
We are accepting planning and zoning board recommendations. They're in the ordinance.
Does that Myers identify the documentation of 26 pages we just got?
Yes.
I think it's
Myers identifies the documents that they reviewed.
July 5th.
I'm not approving documents that they have not reviewed.
Right, got it.
That's the documents in July 5th.
That's right.
Give Grace 1 minute, and we're gonna get going.
Yeah, it was July 5th.
Well, there's no reference here at all to the recommendations of planning and zoning. So if we, so how would you modify, sir, what is it, section 1?
The only modification I've made, and it's been approved by the council, is to section 8.
Okay, so this ordinance.
If
we're
you have
getting-
another amendment,
Well,
I'd like to hear it.
Section 1 says you're approving this according to a June 1, 2022. Hold on, maybe that's right. We're approving with this ordinance drawings dated June 1, 2022. So my suggestion is that is not approving in accordance with Myers. It's not my ordinance. We vote on it the way it is. But you're not gonna be approving what Myers has suggested, and you're not necessarily gonna be accepting planning and zoning board's recommendations. We don't know that.
Would you like to, would like to amend and add the verbiage, Councilman?
With the motion that the Asbill made, with the,
He changed-
calling for the vote of the Myers of the 5th, does that cover it?
It didn't amend section 1. We're approving what's in section 1. So it can, section 1 can be amended to approve what the Myers July 13th recommendation to the mayor.
It was July 5th drawn that they went on.
Well, he's referencing, I believe, I didn't, on July 6th, we received, well.
Survey is from the
Well,
14th.
no. Survey is dated the 14th.
That's not the survey.
There was not a
that's the
second.
plan. That's the 5th. That's the plan.
And we
is
never asked for a
designed
second yet, though.
on the 5th.
Yes, correct.
So you're just getting them two dates mixed up.
Yeah.
So the design group, which is your plan right there, is July 5th.
That's what we're approving.
Correct.
Well,
And that's
something
Myers.
dated June,
That would have been the survey
field drawing.
from Ronald Clement. So do you want to attach the survey too also?
Is this a survey you wanted to attach?
That's the
Hold on a
plan,
second.
that's not the survey. That was all it is.
See, I haven't seen the June 14th. Unless this is it.
That is, no. Final plat, June 14th.
June 14th.
And that's from the surveyor, which is Ronald Clement. So this is what Myers reviewed, this and that.
Yes. And this doesn't have sewerage noted, but this does. And the question Kelly raised is that,
The survey is already attached, so you
Yeah.
want to add the drawings from July 5th by the planners design groups
yeah,
to this.
yeah. And I'm still not sure where this curb cut's going in.
That's not the
Well,
next.
yeah, we'll
that's not
catch
till
to that.
next.
Well, it's, yeah,
It's coming up.
it's the same drawing.
All right, so you want to do, would you like to
Yes,
propose amendment?
then,
Okay.
hold on.
Attach C21, is that what you want?
No, well, we'll reference the whole document.
Okay, the whole document, all right.
The whole
Whole
document.
document.
Let's see, we're gonna use this wording.
Any future meetings, can you see if Ronald can give us the full plat layouts? If you wouldn't mind?
Yes, ma'am.
It just makes it a lot easier, okay.
I would also, in future meetings, I'm gonna request that the city engineer be here to address these issues.
That's fine. That's fine.
I think that's appropriate, and actually, we could have this meeting before to make sure everything is appropriate. That would be even more productive, I believe, Dan.
So we're gonna make an amendment.
Yeah, you make an amendment to, put the,
Hey, give me a
This is
second.
to 12.
It's the 12th.
It's the 12th.
We were just talking about 12.
May 5, 12.
The clock says 11:15. Over the door.
June 1. Wait, hold on. This one says, dated February 11th. That's 30. I need 12.
have to have a full set year that was submitted for review.
That's why she left. But she quit. She quit. You know, she had to type the letter. Should work. Oh, yeah. You're in taxi, then maybe. Yeah, before you leave. There's 25 in the office. She just prepared to eat her food and crying on her diabetes being pushed.
All right. I'd like the motion that we make an amendment to ordinance 2022-12, line 29, after the words Ronald Clement, comma, PLS, period, add the words dated June 14th, 2022, and as shown on as-built drawings dated July 5, 2022, prepared by Duplantis Design Group.
Okay, so we have a motion on the floor by Councilman Asbill. We'll now want open for. I'm sorry. Motion on the floor by Councilman Buddy. We'll now open for public hearing. Anyone wants to speak on it? Motion. No one coming forth. We'll now close public hearing. Can I have a second on that motion?
Can you read it one more time,
Yes, sir.
or maybe twice?
As many times as you need, sir. Line 29, after the words Ronald Clement, comma, P period, L period, S period, add the words dated June 14th, 2022, and as shown on as-built drawings dated July 5, 2022, prepared by Duplantis Design Group.
Right. Would you have to make the same,
We will be making the same change.
same change under section 1? Huh? Right. To add the attachment also?
We can add it as an attachment. Sure. Let's see. Neither are referenced in section 1 by attachment. There's a reference in the whereas to an attachment, I think. Well, maybe, I don't know.
What, label it like that, as attached?
Yeah.
Neither, the exhibit A is not referenced. Yeah. Both as attached. I'm sorry, go
Shall
ahead.
be approved as attachments to the final plat plan because the drawings and the as-built are not part of the final. She would just say attachments to the final plat plan.
I thought those were the final plat plan, but I'm not,
finished attachments to it? Because we're
We could
attaching-
say attached here to is Exhibit A and Exhibit B.
It doesn't hurt, okay.
Attached here to and Exhibit A and Exhibit B. And then shall be
Shall be
approved
approved.
as a final
As
plat.
Just, yeah, that's what I mean.
That's fine.
I'll get that back.
You gotta redo the motion?
Yeah, I'm gonna reread. Proposed amendment to ordinance 2022-12 on line 29, after the words plat of Ronald Clement, comma, P period, L period, S period, add the words dated June 14, 2022, and as shown on as-built drawings dated July 5, 2022, prepared by Duplantis Design Group, comma, attached hereto as exhibit, open quote A, close quote, and exhibit, open quote B, close quote.
Okay, so we'll call for public hearing one more time, just to make sure, because we did amend that amendment, so, and just verbally. And so no one coming to speak forth, we'll now close public hearing. I'll call for the vote. As amended.
Yeah,
Amendment.
first
So we have a
read.
motion by Councilman Buddy, second by Councilman Chatelain. Just to approve the amendment. All right, all in favor?
Yeah.
Yay.
All right, 5 yeas, 0 nays, and now we want to vote on ordinance 2022-12 as amended. We have a motion? Motion by Councilman Wheeler, second by
Second.
Councilman Johnson, all in favor?
Yay.
Yay.
5 yeas,
Sorry,
0
Point of
nays.
order. Mr. Buddy, you're making that same amendment to section 1?
I believe it'll be the same amendment.
So
I'm
you-
sorry, that's where I made it, with section 1.
Oh, okay, you didn't make it to
I'm
the
sorry.
whereas. I thought you made it to the whereas, as far as I was.
Yeah, and I want to make it to section 1. I
You need-
apologize for that.
Needs to make the same amendment to section 1.
Okay. So I propose an amendment to proposed ordinance 2022-12.
After the same.
No, but it's not going to be exactly the same. June. Yeah, it's going to go. Yeah, it's going to. All right, let's see what it's going to show here. An amendment to proposed ordinance 2022-12, line 62, after the words Ronald Clement, comma, P period, L period, S period, comma, dated June 1, comma, 2022, and as shown on as-built drawings dated July 5, 2022, prepared by Duplantis Design Group, attached hereto as exhibit, open quote A, close quote, and exhibit, open quote B, close quote.
Okay, so we'll open for public hearing one more time on the amendments for the second set of amendments for proposed ordinance 2022-12. No one coming forth. We'll now close public hearing.
Mayor, that's the third amendment.
Oh, I'm sorry, the third amendment, correct?
Yes, sir.
All right, and so I have a motion by Councilman Buddy, second by
Second. Second.
Councilman Johnson to amend 2022-12. All in favor?
Yay.
Yay.
Yay, okay, 5 yeas, 0 nays, and now we'll vote on the amended version.
Move to approve as amended.
All right, we're gonna move to approve as amended by Councilman Asbill, second by Councilman Wheeler. All in favor?
Yay.
5 yeas, 0 nays. Ordinance is passed as amended. Thank you.
I got it.
Ready? Proposed ordinance number 2022-13. The following ordinance was proposed by Councilman Asbill and seconded by Councilman
I'll second.
Johnston. An ordinance approving the final re-subdivision plat of Lot A-2C-1, Stoniat or Chapatoulas Plantation subdivision, City of Harahan, Parish of Jefferson, State of Louisiana into Lot A-2C-1A, Stoniat or Chapatoulas Plantation subdivision, and lots 24 through 27 Colonial Place, Phase 1, all pursuant to a plan made by Ronald Clement, PLS, dated June 1st, 2022.
Okay, anyone wanting to come speak on proposed ordinance 2022-13? No one coming forth, will now move.
This is Derek, 76 Oak Avenue. I just have a couple things to say in regards to the ordinance, and also a couple questions for Mr. McKieran, as he mentioned before.
Could you speak up, please?
Oh, yeah.
There you
course.
go. There you go.
Colonial Club Drive used to be the coolest, leafiest street in Harahan, but now many trees are being cut without replacement. So it follows that less trees coupled with more concrete from the development will lead to a hotter street and neighborhood. With the blistering heat wave across the country and upcoming hurricanes, we need trees now more than ever. They protect houses from winds and soak up thousands of gallons of rainwater, reducing flooding. All in all, the development has a tangible impact on the citizens that we're seeing unfold right now. But there's a solution which I believe, in my modest opinion, could minimize the damage from the development and keep our neighborhoods safe and beautiful. There could be an amendment to the proposed ordinance, 2022-13, with the policy for that every tree cut on a specific lot, one of the same species, must be replanted on that same lot. Oak, pine, and cypress trees are inexpensive, and they actually add significant property value in the tens of thousands. These species are the most beneficial and native to Louisiana. Plants such as palm trees and crepe myrtles generally do not provide adequate shade or habitat for small animals. Keeping the same number and type of trees preserves the natural beauty of the neighborhood and keeps us safe from heat and floods. There are multiple interests in the development, and I present a suggestion which benefits all parties involved. We now need the city council and the mayor to consider the perspectives of the citizens, not just the developers, and represent the people who put them in office. Please let the children and grandchildren of Harahan enjoy the peaceful, quiet neighborhood where you grew up. Thanks. And now just a couple of questions to Mr. McKieran. So the houses that are have been built so far on Colonial Club seem to be raised about 4 to 5 feet above the houses on Colonial Club and OK Avenue. And then there's been a lot of trees that are cut. As you may know, each tree soaks up about 11,000 gallons of water per year. So how does the drainage plan to deal with these issues? And what could be done so that we don't flood even with the smallest of rains, as was seen the day of the planning and zoning meeting? That's all I have.
Thank you. Thank you.
Of course.
Thank you.
Sure, happy to address both of those, and I appreciate your candor. So I think if I got the two questions correctly, is one regarding tree for tree replacement, but also type for type, and then, you know, so as those 11,000 gallons don't get sucked up, what happens to that water? How do we deal with it? So the tree for tree replacement. I can say this a million times, but I can only prove it out. You won't find a bigger tree hugger than me. I promise you that. To the degree that you go tree for tree, doesn't make sense because type for type, because what you have after Hurricane Betsy is quite a few water oaks got planted all around New Orleans as a result of loss of trees, which I'd make a strong argument should have never been planted. So if you look at most of these trees that get lost after almost all of these storms, you'll find them primarily to be water oaks, which cause tremendous damage when they fall because they grow tall, they go straight, and they fall quick and hard. So to the degree that they should be replaced tree for tree, I'd have a disagreement, but I totally would be, and I mean this sincerely, I'll say it with a smile because sometimes, but adopt it for Harahan and adopt it for me. I'm all about it. But adopt it for Harahan. Understand what I mean there, right? So, without going into tons of details, you know, the neighborhood I grew in, Royland, you know, as a kid, we used to talk about the asphalt streets and the concrete streets. I didn't have money to live on the concrete streets. I lived in the asphalt streets. And you know, I can't tell you how many large, good oaks, live oaks I've seen cut down. So, yeah, you could really get me to get behind that if it's good for Harahan. With regards to the water, all I can, I'll give the official, you know, hat-on colonial answer, and then I'll give the Danny answer. The hat-on colonial answer is the plans by our engineer, starting in 2012, so 10 years ago, believe it or not, took all those things into consideration. I think, and I'm going off the top of my head, but took approximately 240 acres into consideration, even though we're going to end up developing approximately 60, but took 240 in to specifically actually take water from that area of OK Avenue and so forth. Everything, actually, even the other side. And if you want to see that, and you're welcome to do this, that next heavy rain or that next rain you see, or whenever it happens, like one that happened during the planning and zoning meeting, if you go onto our property, or you don't even have to go onto our property, you can go to the front of the entrance to the Blake and look down, and you'll actually see that storm water running back into our pond. So we overbuilt that pond specifically to not even just take our water, to take water from the surrounding areas. That's something I can't take credit for. I was not an owner at that time. Harahan, council, whoever was on it, should take a tremendous credit of that, because I think y'all really, we're being nice here, so I'm trying to look for a word I've got one over on, but y'all were very persuasive in getting the developer at that time to take on a larger consideration than just their own. In other words, I have that duty now to continue to be obligated to what they were initially obligated to, which is to take on a larger swath. So that's the engineering answer. It really works. I think Councilman Aspel, actually, early on, you had sort of a similar line of thought, and I asked you to come look at a rain, and you saw it, and you can actually watch this thing operate, backflow.
I think the other question was regarding the elevation of the new houses.
The elevation of the homes aren't anything that I dictate, or even forget about the developer, even the homeowners who will be building would dictate. The elevation of those homes are set essentially at BFE. I mean, they're forced to
They're set by state building code.
yeah, they're set by state building code. To take it another step further, while we're giving, while we're having an open discussion here, doesn't matter if you build a 10-foot high or 8-foot high or 4-foot high, it has to do with the footprint. It doesn't really matter. It could be 20-foot high. It has to do with the footprint and the impacted area, which is why.
This is a letter we received today from the design engineers, and the drainage you're talking about.
Yeah, 243 acres, right? So that's what, thank you, Councilman Buck. So we took into consideration 200, so we actually took into consideration 4X. Every time I think about how Harahan did a tremendous job of getting the developer to agree to that. Blows my mind. But they did. To the point of the density, if you look at how many homes would have been approved, how many home sites would have been, I was approved to have developed up and down Colonial. Let me do the math right quick. 30, 36, 600, 8, 86. It would have been approximately 35, 36, somewhere in that neighborhood. We opted to only do 27. We are opting to build larger lots than we're even required to do. I think as long as I'm in control of this, you'll find that same thought process even as we move on to the interior lots. I get the idea that the first knee-jerk reaction to any developer is, he's asking for the moon, let's beat him down. That's not what you're dealing with here. That is not what I am. I grew up here. There's a reason, trust me, holy moly, do I have better financial decisions to make than doing this project. But with that said, I did this project in hopes, because a lot of the things that, look, I have 3 kids that I hope are gonna stay around here. And I want it to be something that we all can be proud of, that has as minimal impact as we can have while doing something that raises property values and that treats the area what I want to see. The longer this goes on, with all due respect, trust me, it won't be 100-foot lots on Colonial. My big fear, the reason I got involved, is because I saw nothing happening. I know what happens when nothing happens. You're not gonna like it. It's gonna be multifamily development. And you wanna talk about concrete, forget about it. You're gonna see some concrete. It's gonna be a concrete jungle. And that is what I didn't wanna see. So I know I'm kind of expounding there, but you were nice enough to ask a elongated question, so I'm giving an elongated answer. I think I've answered both of them. But I'm happy to, you know, talk to you anytime, talk to you offline about it, but, you know, it really is. I've said that a few times here, but it is from the standpoint of how much water it's taking on, the project definitely takes on more than I think any other developer would have taken on. That said, man, we live in southern Louisiana. You know, if you look at what other streets in Harahan or other streets in the city did on that same day, you'll see roads being blocked off on. It's part of living here. Water is not, these rains are getting tougher, these streets, it's not. Harahan, you know, if you look at it from a topography standpoint, part of the reason that I believe Jefferson Parish, upon studying it, decided not to do the pump to the river there initially is because it is a high point, and just by law of gravity, water is not going to flow to a high point unless we dig the hole, so.
All right, thank you.
Helps.
I'd like to add a comment to what Mr. McLaren said, to add a little bit of history. Not too very long ago, we did an amendment to the development agreement between the city and the developer. And I think it took 2.5 years, about maybe 3, to reach that agreement. And as it was coming together, the absolute last thing that was negotiated to a draft that the council was getting ready to vote on had to do with drainage. And we had the city engineer assist us as a council in determining that that lot, the 88 acres with the detention pond would hold as much water as it held in an undeveloped state. And as you may know, that was a lake in a heavy rain. And we couldn't rationally ask the developer to hold more water than that. It did drain 263 acres to that golf course, and the developers consented. So a considerable amount of effort, time, and difficult negotiations over a 3-year period were made to ensure that we have no negative effect from the development. It still may flood, but it won't flood any worse than it did in 1980 or 1990. We can't ask the developer to cure the ills of an area that's got a man-made dam on Jefferson Highway, and much of our entire area is underwater, under sea level, I'm sorry. So the developers have done the right thing, and it wasn't easy. It was a very difficult discussion and agreement. And just know that it was the culmination of 2.5 years of negotiation. So it's been addressed in great detail. And we believe, with our engineers consulting, that it provides the same degree of protection from flooding that existed pre-development. Thank you.
Well said, Councilman Bodie. Okay, so no one, no,
Thank you, Mr. McKieran, first for answering the questions. Well said. I just wanted to point out that what I meant by oaks is live oaks. There's actually no water oaks on the lots 1 through 27, as far as I recall. And so the live oaks, cypress and pines are not as feeble when it comes to hurricanes, including Hurricane Ida. You saw very little damage in actually throughout Harahan in terms of those 3 species. So the tree-for-tree replacement would actually not cause any liability for the current development. And to the second point about drainage, drainage and greenery, they do attack the same problem, but it's not in the same manner. So even though the drainage may like you said,
Be sufficient.
yeah, be sufficient, 4 times sufficient. The fact is that you're removing trees, and so you're changing the neighborhood as well. So that is also the second aspect of what I wanted to mention, so that the neighborhood will be significantly altered through the development, not just by flooding. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Council discussion.
Oh, yeah, so we'll now close public hearing, council discussion, proposed ordinance 2022-13.
I just want to make a quick comment on the young person's remarks. I don't want them to think, want that person to think that we are dismissing them. But I mean, look, I'm willing to entertain a tree for tree replacement type program, but like Mr. McCarron said, it would have to be citywide, and it wouldn't be appropriate to insert into this ordinance at this time, I don't believe. Willing to entertain that on a citywide basis if some of the council wants to do that. I just wanted to make sure we weren't dismissing you outright.
As the current law exists, as I understand it, the city does not tell anybody to do anything
Right.
with a tree on their property. It is, I guess, an option for anyone in the city of Harahan, and probably the same in most communities. If they have a tree on their property and they want to cut it down, they can do it. So it would be rather unfair to impose a restriction on this property owner and not do it to me. I'm a property owner. I've got a tree on my property. I maintain it, and one day I may find a need to remove it. It's an option I have. I like trees also. But it just doesn't seem inherently fair to impose a restriction on one property owner and not try to impose it on others. And I'm not even sure the city has the authority to do it if we chose to.
Sure, Councilman Asbill will have that ordinance up next month.
But thank you for your comments and concerns. But do know that the negotiations to amend the development agreement were literally painstaking. They were not easy negotiations. It wasn't everybody sat around, came up with an agreement in 5 minutes, shook hands, and went and had a beer. It was completely opposite of that. It was painstaking. We ended up with a deal that we believe, and the developer believes, good for everyone involved. Thank you, though.
I appreciate your time, your knowledge, very professional. I look forward to talking to you. We have openings on planning and zoning.
Sure.
You're gonna nail that spot. And, we look forward to talking to you. Thank you. I don't think so, but we'll look into it.
Okay, so,
So I do have 2 amendments on here. One of them is the same amendment we had on the last one, to section 7 on this one. Adding the words "insomuch as the city of Harahan has the authority to grant such, comma." I move that amendment after hearing.
all right, so we have a motion by Councilman Asbill, will now open public hearing on amending proposed ordinance 2022-13. No one coming to speak forth. Now we'll close public hearing. All in favor?
Yay.
I'm sorry, I needed a second.
Second.
Second by Councilman Johnston. All in favor?
Yay.
Yay.
5 yeas, 0 nays.
The second amendment on this one is if you look back at proposed ordinance 2022-12, and compare it to this one, you're actually missing a section. So I'll just incorporate section 7 on 2022-12 by reference into 2022-13.
Okay, we have a motion on the floor by Councilman Asbill. We're now up for public hearing. No one coming to speak forth. Can I have a second?
Second.
Second by Councilman Johnson. All in favor?
Yay.
Yay.
5 yeas, 0 nays.
Yeah.
Ordinance is amended.
And Madam Clerk, just renumber those as appropriate, please.
Anyone else?
Good.
Jason, did you add the paragraph that was missing?
Yes, sir. That's what we
Yes,
just
sir.
did.
Okay, that's what we just did. Great. So we've got the issue again with section 1, and this verbiage is different than it refers to a drawing of February 11th by Ronald Clement. I think what we had to do is,
That's this one.
what's that?
Is that-
Now, this is
Is this
referring to a drawing by February, was easily fixed. Let me get the 2022 dash. Out of order. So I propose an amendment to ordinance 2022-13. Line 64, after the words Ronald Clement, comma, P period, L period, S period, comma, dated, delete the words February 11th, 2022, and in their stead, insert the words dated June 14th, 2022, and as shown on as-built drawings dated July 5, 2022, prepared by Duplantis Design Group, attached here too as Exhibit A and Exhibit B. So I'll repeat that. I think we're good. We're good?
Yep.
Okay. Anybody else want to hear it over?
Nope. Same amendment as the
Do we
last
get
one.
a second? Yeah, and I just changed the February date.
All right, so we have a motion on the floor by Councilman Buddy. We'll now open for public hearing. Anyone wants to speak on that motion? No one coming forth. We'll now close that. So we have a motion by Councilman Buddy. I need a second. Second by Councilman Wheeler. All in favor?
Yeah.
5 yeas, 0 nays. Amendment passes.
Move to approve as amended.
Okay, we have a motion on the floor
Second.
by Councilman Asbill, second by Councilman Buddy. We'll now for public hearing. Anyone going to come speak forth on this proposed ordinance 2022-13 as amended? No one coming forth. Now we'll close public hearing. All in favor?
Yay.
5 yeas, 0 nays. Ordinance is approved. Thank you. Madam Clerk, ordinances for introduction.
Ordinances for introduction. The following ordinance was proposed by Councilman Chatelain. Proposed ordinance number 2022-16, an ordinance amending ordinance number 1925, the annual budget of revenues and expenditures for the fiscal year ending December 31st, 2022 for the Capital Project Fund of the City of Harahan, Louisiana for City Hall canopy. The following ordinance was proposed by Councilman Asbill. Proposed ordinance number 2022-17, an ordinance amending ordinance number 1925, the annual budget of revenues and expenditures for the fiscal year ending December 31st, 2022 by amending the budget of the Fire Sales Tax Fund. The following ordinance was proposed by Councilman Wheeler. Proposed ordinance number 2022-18, an ordinance to amend ordinance number 1827, Sewerage District Number 1 of the City of Harahan and the Harahan Municipal Code, Chapter 90, Article 2, Division 2, User Charges, Section 90-58, Schedule of Charges, providing for a change of user charges for services rendered by the said sewerage district. Old business. Old business number 1, Board of Adjustment, dismissal, and appointments.
No adjustments? Anyone have any amendments?
I
Nope.
do not, no.
Can I have a motion to defer?
Motion to defer.
Motion to defer by Councilman Johnson, second by Councilman Wheeler. All in favor?
Yay.
5 yeas, 0 nays. I'm sorry, 4 yeas, 1 absent. Madam Clerk, new business.
New business. New business number 1, we will skip because Todd is absent. New business number 2, a letter from Police Chief Tim Walker requesting to add this letter to the council meeting agenda. Please be advised that nominations for the employee representative to the Civil Service Board were open from June 29th through July 3rd. Sergeant David Darwin was the only nominee and is therefore declared elected. This was for the police representative appointment.
So it's a new appointment?
Yeah,
It's a
so
renewal?
So he was filling in for Jordan Bloomer,
Okay,
and his appointment expires July 29th.
okay. And so they had
So this
another,
one is for the new term.
they had another
Yes.
election and he got it again?
Yes.
Okay. So do we have to vote on this like we voted on last one?
We do,
Yes.
we do. Got it. All right, so, anyone want to speak on new business number 2, the appointment of Sergeant David Darwin? Public hearing is now open. No one coming forth. Public hearing is now closed. Can I have a motion to confirm that appointment?
Motion.
Motion by Councilman Johnson, second by Councilman Buddy. All in favor?
Yay.
Yay.
5 yeas,
Abstain.
0 nays. I'm sorry, 4 yeas, 1 abstention. Did you abstain? I'm sorry, 4, did you not vote? All right, 4 yeas, 1 absent.
No, he abstained.
I was like,
3-1-1.
3 yeas,
3-1-1.
1 absence, 1 abstention. Madam Clerk?
New business number 3, consider, consider August council meeting date change.
Okay, say, and then we can consider, what was the date change?
So the original council meeting for August was set on this 18th. We're just moving it up the day before. The city was going to acknowledge some Harahan residents that recently participated in a state swimming competition. The problem is their banquet also falls the same night of our council meeting. So I just requested if there was a way we can move our council meeting up just the day before. So it would be Wednesday, the 17th at 7 o'clock.
Okay, so-
I think I had mentioned it to y'all, everybody see.
Yes.
All right, so we're now open for public hearing. Anyone wants to discuss moving a council meeting? No one coming forth. We'll now close public hearing. All in favor?
Yay.
Yay.
5 yeas, 0 nays. Public, the council meeting will be on June 17th, which is a Wednesday at
Au-
7 p.m. I'm
August
sorry,
17th.
August 17th, which is a Wednesday, not Thursday. So
At 7 p.m.
7 p.m. Thank you.
New business number 4. The city of Harahan currently charges
Nope.
$7.10 a month for garbage service on each.
So we're gonna pull new business number 4 down.
You have to vote to pull it down. You have to amend the agenda. I
Okay.
can't do it.
What's that?
It's not.
What happened? What I missed?
But I'm sorry, Bob.
You gotta vote to amend the agenda.
Okay, so we have a motion on the floor by Councilman Asbill to amend the agenda.
He just has to withdraw it.
Okay, so, well, I can't make.
We have
You
to,
want me to
we have to
withdraw?
vote to take it off.
Madam, we have a motion by Councilman Chatterling to remove new business number 4.
Second.
Have a second by Councilman Buddy. All in favor?
Yay.
Yeah.
5 yeas, new business number 4 is removed. Thank you.
Move to amend the agenda to add planning and zoning appointment to new business.
Okay, I have a motion on the floor by Councilman Asbill to add planning and zoning appointments to new business. We're now for public hearing. No one coming forward. We'll close public hearing. Can I have a second?
Second.
Second.
Second by Councilman Buddy. All in favor?
Yeah.
5 yeas, new business is now, planning and zoning appointments are added. Do we have one?
We do. I would like to nominate Linda Domain.
All right. So we have Linda Domain being nominated for planning and zoning?
She's overly qualified.
Yeah. Can I have a second?
I'll second.
From Ms. Linda, I have a second by Councilman Buddy. We're now for
Well,
public
well,
hearing.
no, I would have liked an opportunity to chat with her.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay.
Oh, well,
I'll second.
You know, well, that's what we've done traditionally, is we
Okay.
not nominate. That'll be fine.
okay, so we'll
If-
defer
if
the
that's
vote.
So
acceptable,
we'll defer the
I
vote to the
appreciate it.
August meeting. Okay.
And I'm sorry, Linda,
Domain.
Domain, thank you.
I'll
But I
second
can
it.
send you her information.
I'll second the deferral.
You'll second the deferral? Okay.
Okay. A motion by Councilman Buddy to defer, second by Councilman Johnson. All in favor?
Yay.
Yay.
5 yeas, 0 nays. Madam Clerk,
Address the council.
if anyone would like to come up and address the council, please do come up and state your name and address at the podium.
Hi, my name is Lynette Garcia, and I own the grooming boarding cottage at 513 Hickory Avenue in Harahan. I have been there, I've been in business for over 15 years, but I moved into this business about 10 years ago. My biggest complaint is it rains, it floods to my knees in the middle of the street. The cars run by, they're pushing water in my building. Nobody cares. I had to call the cops 10 times to get someone to come block off the street. That's one of my biggest complaints about that area. The drain is right in front of my shop. It is so clogged because the house that is on side of, not the building next to me has a house on side of it. The water from the back runs underneath the house because it's an above ground house. The sand comes out, it goes to the street, and it goes to that drain. So no matter what happens, it always floods there. And I have a building right on side of me. It was an antique shop. They have been closed since the storm. They will not reopen. They have not fixed the roof. They have not cleared out the building. My shop stinks like mold, and I can't get rid of it, and I groom dogs. So my shops do not smell like dogs. I clean every day. You will not walk into my building and tell me that I groom dogs there. I groom and board, and my shop has never stank like it does right now.
What's your address?
513 Hickory,
She's right there in the turn.
right in the turn. I can't fix my floors because when it rains into the building next to me. We share a wall. Goes underneath the wall, it destroys my floors. I have talked to them. I have tried to get them to do something. I was told it was none of my business.
Is it a landlord own that building? Do you rent, or is it a
I
landlord?
rent.
Okay. And have
I-
you spoken to the landlord?
I have, and he has tried to talk to them too, and they will do nothing. We have told they have no insurance on the building, and they are 80 and 90 years old. I get that.
We on 3 different conversations right now.
No.
I'm sorry.
Can I go to the flooding
Sure.
situation first?
Go right ahead.
How many times have you contacted City Hall?
I don't
This is
think,
my first time hearing from you.
you're
But I know
right.
she's
I have
right.
not been to City Hall about this, about the flooding in front of my business.
And you said you call the police when it floods. I mean, I'm just.
I
I'm not
asked,
trying
I
to be-
get
I'm not trying to
somebody
be
to come out
sarcastic.
and at least block off the street so the trucks and the cars don't come through and move the water up over, I mean, it will get up to my doorway. From them driving through it, they drive through it and I have tried to stop them, but I can only do so much.
Yeah, I was blocked on Hickory going north at that intersection the last heavy rain. There was a police car blocking the street.
And I've seen barricades out there blocking the street as well.
Right. At one time, I had my own barricades that Harahan left with me that I kept behind my fence. and I would go
you
block
stole
off.
barricades?
Right. I did not
Press
steal
charges.
barricades.
She
They
stole
came
barricades. She
out and
took them from the street, put them behind a fence.
That-
She just said that on public TV.
I did not. I said that Harahan left me barricades so I could block off
We
the
will definitely
street.
come out and work. And I know we haven't, believe it or not, I know we having tons of issues in your area. It is a state highway where you are right there.
That's what I was about to
So
say.
it's state, so we are having tons of issues. We're going back and forth. You might be Jefferson Parish, it's one of the two, but we've been working with them religiously, trying to get them to clean it. You have a ton of collapsed
Well,
drains there?
right. This is what happened. I did call y'all. Y'all told me it was Jefferson Parish. I called Jefferson Parish. Jefferson Parish told me it was state. I called state. State told me it was Harahan. So it's a runaround from place to place about it.
I'm gonna give you the way I answer that question is.
Yeah.
You're a Harahan business. You call Harahan. Let Harahan worry about if it's state or parish.
Okay.
I understand they could have told you differently.
Okay.
But if you have a street light out in Harahan and people are gonna get sarcastic because there's a lot of street lights out,
Mm-hmm.
and everybody says, "Well, if you have a street light out, call Energy." My opinion, you have a street light out, you call Harahan. Harahan calls Energy. That's why you pay Harahan taxes. Our
Okay.
employees are here to help you.
Okay.
I will look into your flooding issue. I do know
Okay.
it floods right there, but I believe when you started this conversation, you said you called numerous times. And
I
I don't have records of you
Not
calling.
here. I have called and to have the police come and block the street off. I have
Understand.
not called here personally, and I have not been to this is my first time. This is my first time
I
doing
figured you were here to
anything
run
like
for mayor.
this. So,
So, I didn't know that the antique shop had closed. I'm sorry for, we're dealing with a lot still from hurricane. And we will definitely follow up on that. And the landlord, I'll have code enforcement come out. I'll also maybe get with you and get with, believe it or not, the lady who helps me run my sewer also helps me film and video my drainage. And I mean, we've dealt with, and we've had, I'm being honest with you, have a club. Anyhow, let me put this, our Jefferson Parish Councilman Dino Bonanno has an incredible staff. And he will help us all get to the bottom of seeing if we can get this. It may be
I
pretty
believe it's a
intrusive, though.
state issue.
We may, so then we'll get with Senator Talbot and State Representative John Elk. And there's a chance that a lot of that ground's gotta be cut up. So, it's gonna get invasive when we go cutting it.
That's a
cutting that ground.
notorious low spot, very noticeable. It dips at least 2 feet. And with the gravity drainage we have north and south of that spot, I think it's a
Gonna be
major,
hard.
major fix for hundreds of feet of new drain line to even attempt to have a fix. I know you've suffered there for years. Everybody who drives down Hickory is aware of it.
So
and that's, I guess, my point. Everybody that lives here that drives down Hickory knows that it floods there. But when it rains and it floods there, they still come down Hickory and they fly down Hickory. It's not, they're not putting through the water. I have pushed many of cars out of the water because they're in there. I have went and picked up trash that was floating around because it was knee deep and I didn't want cars to run into it. So it's a lot, and I've been dealing with it for a long time, and it's just one of my things that, since I was here, I was going to bring it up.
I did get another complaint today for that area there, and I believe it's for next door to you with the high grass in between. It might be your building and the one next to it.
Probably because the people that own the antique shop actually own the other building on the other side of me, and that building has no roof on the top of it in the back, and the wall is caving in, which is very dangerous, but they have rented this building out.
That's what I got the call on today.
And they have rented that building out to someone. There's literally someone in that building, and I can't believe somebody would rent that, but he was supposed to be fixing both buildings, and this has been being told to me since a month after the hurricane, that he was gonna start on these buildings, and nothing's been done on either of the buildings. My biggest fear is that when the hurricane came through, I don't own the building, and my stuff was fixed by my landlord. I have a very good landlord. It's Mark Lobel. He's a very good landlord. He fixed everything for me. But it's not fair that they haven't done anything to theirs, and we're in hurricane season again, so the rest of the roof is going to come off if there's another storm. And then we're gonna be fixing my building again, and he's gonna have to go through his insurance. And I just, it's not my building, but I've been there for years, and I've put a lot of work into this building. This was nothing but a warehouse when I went in. I have built walls, I have put up tubs, and I have live dogs that stay there that are boarding on the wall that the water is coming in. So when it rains, I have to scramble and move these dogs that are in there to the other parts of my building. And sometimes I can't do that. Sometimes I have 25 dogs in there. I only have 16 runs. So it's a scramble sometimes.
All right, well, let's get to work.
So I'm more worried about the building next to me, which is the antique shop, than I am the other one next to me. But he doesn't keep up the grass. And he's got a truck that's been sitting out there since the day he rented the place that has never moved.
So the
He's got
antique
trucks
shop
in
is
the
where
back.
the water is entering your space from?
I'm sorry?
The antique shop is where the water is entering the space?
Yes, sir,
from?
because we have a cement wall that
Yeah.
we're connected to, and it gets down their wall, gets onto their floor, and then, cement's porous, so it runs into the bottom of my building.
In
inside
all
my
fairness,
building.
that sounds like an issue between you and the landlord. If their building is, in a situation where something needs to be condemned to something, our folks can look at that.
Yes, we'll get out and look at it
The
right away.
flooding on the street is not your landlord's issue.
Right. And
It's
we
something
have
that we-
tried, he has tried to approach the people and buy the buildings from them, and they won't have it. They won't even think about it.
The building that's flooding your space
He has offered to
is
buy
not
the
owned
buildings.
by your landlord?
No.
It's just got a common wall?
Yes, sir.
Still suing.
It's
civil
kind
law.
of, yeah, it's kind of like we share a gutter system at the top too.
Yeah.
And when they put up the gutter system on mine, they literally covered their side to stop it from, but it still gets in. The whole roof is missing off the top of the
Unfortunately,
building.
I believe that's a situation for your landlord to contact an attorney, because the city has no say over that.
So y'all can't make them do anything with the building? Like,
If it's in
if it-
bad disrepair.
we can
and
look into
it's a
having it
safety, it's a
condemned,
health,
yeah.
safety, and welfare hazard, yes, we
it's a
can, we'll have
regulatory.
regulatory over there right away.
okay, the back of it is completely open.
Yeah,
Like
we'll-
anybody can go in there.
We'll
The
get-
whole back of the thing it's a bad situation. I had nowhere else to turn. I didn't know what else to do. This was my chance to do something.
Well, it will get attention.
I greatly appreciate it.
You're welcome. Sorry you went through this.
Thank you. I love Harahan. I don't want to move. I've been here for years. I want to keep my business here. My business was here before I bought it. It was Janae's Grooming Cottage. That was at 470 Hickory. And I moved it so I could expand bigger. So I'm hoping to stay with y'all for a very long time. Thank you. Y'all have a great day.
When you call the police department for the flooding problems, do you also call City Hall?
I have not.
Okay, and you really should, because when thunderstorms happen, the police department is crazy responding to burglar alarms that start going off, and a lot of things, so we start getting a lot of calls coming in, and there are multiple locations that we're getting calls about flooded streets. We're also getting a lot of alarms that we're responding to, so sometimes we can't respond immediately to something like that. We only have a few barricades with the police department. The Public Works Department for the city has a lot more, and they have a F-250 truck to bring barricades out. So we, you know, if you can contact City Hall at the same time and get us both working on it, sometimes we might not be available to respond immediately because we are answering other calls that come in a priority for alarms, medical alarms, burglar alarms, those type of things. That happens a lot, and many of them are false alarms, but we don't know that till we get there.
Absolutely, I will absolutely do that. Thank you for the
And
information.
I know we've sent our guys out there to sit, but sometimes a priority call may come out, and, you know, they don't, you know, cars, we don't carry the barricades in the car.
Did you just make a request for
Right.
F-250?
Sounds like it to me.
Sure, we'll take one. But
Thank
not,
y'all.
not from the two that we got approved earlier, that'll be a third.
Thank you.
My wife's gonna hand you my card, my cell phone number's on it.
Okay,
Call me anytime, day and night.
okay, thank
She's
you.
right there in the back. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Louise Chapman, 191 Ray Van. Senior Center. When's it gonna open?
Okay, so we have an update. We have estimates coming in right now on the senior center. We have 4 issues at the senior center right now. We have a gas leak. Of course, you know, we have the ACs are down, the ice machine's broken, and the roof is leaking. We were working on Fema on a lot of the claims and stuff. However, tomorrow I will be back into the senior center, trying to get the AC back in some kind of, well, we'll never get this AC back in that working order. It has to completely come out. And what happened with the AC is that the air handlers were built into the roof as the senior center was being built. So we have to bring in people with torches to cut this air handler out, get it out of the building, whether it be through the roof or through the ceiling. That'll be where we start, and then we'll have to bring in someone to do ductwork to try to get it back, right? We've looked at going alternate ways. The problem is it becomes incredibly more expensive trying to go in an alternate direction because we have to redo all the ductwork on top of that. So we're gonna try to, I'm actually meeting a gentleman tomorrow that does ductwork and AC work, so it's kind of a win-win. And we're gonna go over there and see if we can get something moving. That's first. Ice machine, right now, I also have another gentleman coming to meet me Monday. They're very hard to get right now. And the ice machine that there is, it needs to be replaced.
Yeah,
And
it's
so
broken down.
We'll get it replaced, and we're just gonna get those parts in. Gas leak, I haven't really put my fingers on yet. This is one I just heard about within the last day. And then, of course, we know the roof, it needs a new roof, and we're kinda waiting to get some of this money for FEMA, because we're a little bit strapped at the moment, but senior center is priority 1 right now to fix all 4 of those problems.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Yes, ma'am.
Tim,
An hour ago, you said the playground was priority 1.
Senior center is priority.
when Councilman Chatelain's finished, Mayor,
Yes, sir.
the roof, is it leaking?
Well, we didn't know it was leaking when we had to go in and replace some ceiling tiles, and now we've started to find some leaks. And they're not big leaks, but it's a leak anyway. It needs to be fixed.
Well, my point is, it may behoove you to do the roof first, just because you don't want to go put in ductwork and air.
Well, we want the air handler out first.
to pull an air handler
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
why we
but I'm
need-
talking about the installation of the new equipment. Until the new roof's put in, if your ice makers, anything you put in there is liable to be ruined by a leaking.
So the plan of attack right now is to go into the roof since it is leaking and try to get the air handler out of the roof and pull it that way because it's gonna be, believe it or not, a lot easier. I know it sounds harder, but it's a lot easier. All right, so we'll now address the council, Madam Clerk.
Secretary's report, the financials were not completed for the month of June, so they will be on the August agenda along with July's financials. Reports.
Yes, sir.
These are the statistics for June. We had, the Harahan Police Department reports 602 calls for service, 7 accidents, 79 citations, 156 total charges, 10 patrol requests. We had 10 narcotics arrests with 17 charges, 5 of which were felonies, 7 misdemeanors, and 5 city charges. We had 42 arrests with 79 other charges, 4 felonies, 39 misdemeanors, 17 city, and 19 traffic. No murders, no rapes, no robberies, no residential burglaries, no non-residential burglaries, no attempted burglaries, no motor vehicle thefts, no attempted motor vehicle thefts, 4 larceny thefts, and 2 assaults. And that is it for the month of June.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And I'd like to thank the council and the mayor for the capital approval today.
Any update on missing person? Still open case?
Yep.
Crazy.
Right now, there are 87 open missing person cases in Jefferson Parish. And it's something that we found out when we had one, right? And when she became missing, it actually was from outside the city, but she.
Outside the city, but a Harahan resident.
But Harahan resident. And so we have taken point with Jefferson Parish and the city of Kenner. And right now, there is no information.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Thank you. All right, Chief St. Cyr is absent. Councilman Asbell?
So I just got one thing. For the 4th year in a row, Fidelity Bank is sponsoring this Power Plates thing. And it's celebrating powerful women in the hospitality industry. And one of the things that they do is they do restaurant specials to fundraise for the Louisiana Hospitality Fund. And just wanted to point out that one of the restaurants where we have a powerful women in the hospitality industry is Bienvenue. They have a lady named Stacy Dennis. She's also a Harahan resident. She's the front of the house manager over there. So if you go there, and there's 2 menu items that you can order from, it'll help them raise money for this community foundation, which provides educational and crisis grants to hospitality workers. I think it'd be cool, in addition to Restaurant Week this week, if you could, they also have Restaurant Week specials. You could visit there and say hi to Stacy as a Harahan resident, a powerful woman in the hospitality industry, and also order one of the specials that they'll donate back for the grants. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman Buddy.
No report, thank you.
Councilman Chatelain?
No report.
Councilman Johnson?
No report.
Councilman Wheeler?
No report.
The only thing I'd like to report tonight is that me and my staff are working on looking into an outdoor exercise, modular equipment gym that we're looking to put in at Royland Playground. It's something that we've just begun the homework on, and we're working, and there's actually a grant and funding to have for the gym. And the reason why we're doing it is because as we start to get intrusive on or invasive on Harahan Playground, we want to continue to make sure that we have another place or an alternate place for our walkers and everyone who works out at the playground to go. So it is pretty cool. We're working on it. We're trying to figure it out and maybe even get a little overhaul at Royland Playground, kind of fix it up a little bit. Other than that, I know school's getting ready to come back in. I'm starting to see the lighted up signs on the highway. So please take your time and be safe. And that's all I have. Madam Clerk?
Pay bills also falls under the financials that will be presented in August. Executive session, there is not one, and adjourn.
Motion
Have a
to
motion to
adjourn.
adjourn by Councilman Johnson, second by Councilman Wheeler. All in favor?
Yay.
5 yeas, 0 nays. We are adjourned.